Go detail, that's what this part's for. We're going general on the other stuff. Oh yeah, I mean, Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook, the reason they're so big is they're the toll booth of the internet.
Right, so in the past, the brands were out on the street fighting for the people walking by to buy food.
There will not, I genuinely believe that 7-Eleven and Burger King are in deep shit in a 30-year window. This is about timing. You're very thoughtful, I've listened a couple times. Like, everybody here, I will tell you the biggest thing that I've gotten better at, the lessons I learned as a kid, even though I was right, I literally built my dad's entire business strategy for Wine Library when I took over in 1998 on this is true, that by the year 2000, which was 24 months from then, everybody would walk into our liquor store with a phone and have technology that would give them the price of every product in the country in order of best price. And that's literally how I decided to sell everything at cost that anybody knew and then build up other brands. It was great because it really worked because we were the price leader of every wine anybody wanted. We still don't do that. It is now 2019. We have close-ish capability. We have that capability-ish. There is something called Wine Searcher. If you're a big wine buyer that aggregates, like it's there, but it's not one person will walk into Wine Library this year. Best Buy, where people look up stuff on Amazon, you know? So I was wrong about timing. What I'm good at now, people are like, you're so right. I'm good at timing. That's why I didn't bet on VR. That's why I don't bet on AR. That's why I don't bet on machine learning or things of that nature. I know every one of those things is going to happen. The question is when, right? So, yes, what you're saying is right. The question for you is, how are you overthinking it? So would I say you should go buy a bunch of buildings for your restaurants? Like, that may not work, but when that's at scale, when ordering food on Alexa is at scale, or Google, you could be talking about a good 7-10 years.
Even more, right?
Could be more. I think that's, if I'm guessing. That feels ish. You start thinking about, here's what you have to look at. Who's doing it all the time? If anybody here has 3 to 9-year-old kids in their life, they definitely see that those humans think about voice very differently than we do. So in 7-8 years, when they're in high school and have the capability of having like some money, whatever, they're going to start doing things differently. That's how everything happens. That's how online dating happened. Online dating was around for a long time. It didn't become acceptable until the generation that only talked on AIM and all that. Got it? So you have to look at consumer behavior. I'll tell you, the bigger thing is going to be the infrastructure of last mile. Who's going to deliver it?
Well, so
for example, I think there's going to be a ton of restaurants that don't have a physical location, that are just sitting under buildings and have contemporary kitchens.
It's already today.
It's 100%. That's right.
Maybe that's what's happening.
That's what everybody's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, and do you think in that context there's going to be almost no brand left?
No, I think brand's the only thing left.
But like how many? Because
as many as there are now. Like, I think that, to your point, Alexa or Google or phone, send me a cheeseburger, but there will be brands that say, send me a Shake Shack burger or McDonald's or Burger King. I don't think brand has to go away. I think you're making a valid point, but I don't think you realize how many people don't buy based on brand.
right.
Like the amount of people here who bought a cheeseburger and they actually didn't give a fuck. It was just the first one in the airport that had a cheeseburger, and whether it was Tim Hortons, McDonald's, Burger King, or something else, they didn't care. Well, that happens every day. That's why private labels are doing well, right? And convenience is king. But brand is queen, and she runs shit. The amount of brands allowed are completely predicated on how well brands are executed. I think you got to think about what one buys, right? Like a cheeseburger. I mean, everybody, look, I think you're going to buy your toothpaste. You're going to buy it from Alexa, and it's going to be in your home within 3 minutes. That's awesome. Buying a fucking pair of sneakers that way is not awesome for a lot of people. Still, people want to see it and touch it. So you have to figure out what commodities are in trouble. 7-Eleven's in trouble. Convenience stores and bodegas are in trouble. I really believe that. We overpay. Everybody here has paid more for something that they knew they could buy somewhere else, because it was right there. Instead, you didn't drive to Walmart or Costco or Sainsbury's, right? Well, that convenience is about to get really convenient. So it's convenience, it's brand, right? There's all the same things that have always dominated humans, will always play. So I'm obsessed with brand. Because with voice, to your point, I pull up a Google search in 2003 when that was the game. Even you might have been better. I was the best at it. Wine Library was better than everybody. Even wine.com, I was better than everybody. That's why I got big. But people still saw their store that they were actually looking for, and not me, below, right? They typed in Cabernet. They wanted to buy from the supermarket. They saw the Wine Library ad. I got a lot of them, but I didn't get everybody. And they would go to where they wanted. Here, if I say wine, Amazon controls that. So what I need them to say is Wine Library. That's why brand is so important. Right? Because if they're going to say, send me supplements, I want creatine, you're finished. Because you're not going to be able to afford the affiliate fee. The amount of money that Google, Apple, Amazon, or whoever else wins this is going to be able to charge brands like Rickard to be the default brand are going to make slotting fees in stores look like a fucking picnic.
Do you think Amazon would automatically as well make their own
100%.
private labels?
100%. 100%. They'll be strategic. They'll do what they've always done. They'll pick and choose. If Rickard's willing to really pay, they'll be like, fuck it. We'll get to whatever in 3 years. But if nobody's willing to pay, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. Or they're going to look at data. Yeah. Everyone's asking for shampoo. It's now a viable enough thing for us to do our own shampoo. Voice is a big one because it's not visual. Visual still gave us options. Voice, we're going to have no control other than one thing, brand. Alexa, send me Twinkies, not chocolate cupcakes. That matters. That's why I keep building brand. That's why brand is forever.
Which is why I think quality is again one way
yeah,
of course. Come after us like every time they launch.
Of course.
Of
course.
But then people go away because it's like shit.
And the quality where, to your point, and that is examples where the quality, you had a big enough advantage in the actual consumer's point of view, not your own. Where a lot of brands are going to lose, and why they lost the private label game, is they assumed that the quality delta was going to be enormous, and in some categories it wasn't. So, correct, your R&D capabilities are the delta. But convenience is a son of a bitch, boy. It's a fucking son of a bitch. There are people literally go into a Sainsbury's or Walmart or a supermarket wanting to buy your product, but because it's one shelf lower and this one's here and they know they don't like it as much, it just fucking, they don't have the second for you. It's crazy. How to be a brand that makes somebody willing to be inconvenient is the fucking holy grail. How are you so good that I'm willing to go out of my way to have you?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's the real answer. 433.
423. Yeah, you know the company.
I know all about it.
Yeah, so we're building now more company. We have the platform.
Yep.
On Instagram is going
I'm aware.
very well.
Yep.
We're now on the third place of the most engaging Instagram platform, so that's good.
It's huge.
But,
It's the most important platform, and you're one of the most important products on the platform. It's huge.
Yeah, at the moment. But internally, we're discussing, okay, what if we have our app with 2 million downloads, Facebook is growing also, we have 2.5 million followers on Facebook, but that was also my question, what about the other channels, or the focus? We have a community, we have the fans, but yeah.
It's so crazy, I don't know if you saw it, this is literally the post I just posted on Instagram this morning.
I didn't see that.
I think my post is something like, if Instagram disappeared today, so would 98% of you, because everyone's so one-dimensional. What should you do? You should start a podcast 365 days a year. You should post 2 times a day on YouTube. You should figure out the business version and put it on LinkedIn. You should start your own text messaging platform. You should build up your own email.
Just all of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
You need the platforms because you need their attention, you siphon it.
Yeah.
And you need your own first party data, email and texting, because you need to own it.
But do you think also own platform, just that you cannot be...
Sure.
Yeah.
433.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So you have all the data.
Because even the traffic and the cookies and the first party data,
So you have
all of it.
Yeah.
Events, yep.
Yeah.
Apparel,
Yeah. We're opening.
And the beauty is you're in a great spot. That's the answer to everybody.
Yeah.
You have something big already. You just have to throw right hooks in 433. Look at my I always say, watch what look what I'm doing. Like I'm like 3 posts to get that post I took 5 years ago where I point because I want you to turn on my notifications. Like I'm always gathering attention, right? I'm putting the final touches on my new text messaging platform. I had it for a while, first in line. The tech wasn't strong, about to roll it out. And when I re-roll it out, and you'll see it, I'm gonna throw like one post is just gonna be a black box with a phone number. Like that's gonna be the post. I don't give a fuck that it's gonna get 22,000 likes instead of 200,000. I want the fucking phone numbers. People get caught up in bullshit. Literally, I know this happens in your company, whether it's you or somebody else. You care so much about winning the day on a post on Instagram, you're not siphoning out the IP. This is what happens. Your next post should be like, sign up for our email list. It's not going to do as well as the fucking clips, but it's going to be much more valuable for your business.
Yeah, we are now so critical of what we post because we want to have the high engagement.
Yep.
And be high in the algorithm.
Yep.
So, but I totally understand what you're saying.
You're pandering to Instagram.
Yeah.
There were people that were the biggest on MySpace too.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's we're opening in second office in New York City.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we signed up last week. So
It's awesome.
Big plan.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
You guys are doing great.
Yeah. So I want to get you up.
Please.
Yeah.
Who are the people that buy these things?
The buyer is quite often different to the actual user.
I understand.
So
That makes
the
sense.
rider who is the user, they're
Of course.
sponsored
Of course.
they've got a really rich dad. Or
Yes, I
whatever it
understand.
is.
To really get the rider and really get the dad, to your point, you got it. It's Instagram and LinkedIn, or Instagram and Facebook, or Snap and Facebook, but the creative, everything's fundamentally different.
Yeah.
It's just being in the mindset of actually marketing to both of them and being good, back to being a good footballer. Like you might be better at LinkedIn than you are at Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm better at video than I'm written word, right? So I think, but yes, of course you can do that. And I'm very bullish on LinkedIn advertising.
Yeah.
I really am. For consumer goods too. LinkedIn's underrated. They built fucking Facebook, and there's business people in there, and all you have to do is if you're selling them soap, make it about how efficient their business day will be if they use your, you have to make it contextual. People always talk about awareness, but they don't talk about relevance. And the biggest problem is everybody talks about awareness as potential awareness versus actualized awareness. So what I love about Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, it's actually being consumed. And you can actually make contextual creative for it. That's why it's so much better.
When you talk about the contextual creative, are you going after a psychographic profile or is it
Both.
contextual to?
Both, psycho and demo, right? And the platforms have that information. But like on LinkedIn that the person works at RBS or went to Cambridge or I don't know how people haven't figured this out. Like when I say haven't figured it out, I think we do a bad job of layering common sense. It's so effective. The problem is nobody realized how much creative it took. That's where everybody got fucked, including it took me a little while. It's just so much creative.
So
Like back to personal brand for some of you, like some of the stuff we're starting to do, it's like, hey Detroit, hey Texas, like the stuff I'm doing for empathy, sat there for like 20 minutes and did like 73 different beginnings. Hey, did you fuck up? This is literally one. Hey, did you fuck up Valentine's Day? We're running that right now. Don't ever fuck that up again. Order a subscription to wine. You don't have to think about buying her a gift anymore, dudes. We literally picked the highest net worth counties in America, literally from Wikipedia, just like probably clean-ish data, and I just was like, hey, Huntington Beach, hey, Somerville, hey, Hunter, like literally. And then you run it and it converts better. But what everybody else did was what I did for years. Hey, everybody, you should pick up this wine. Run to everybody. Think about if you guys made contextual creative as Instagram ads to just the football team that person actually liked. I don't look at Patriot highlights on my football Instagram accounts, you know? And then you can make the inside joke of razzing the rival, right? Now you're relevant. Literally when you see a LinkedIn ad that says, hey dad, do you have a daughter? Here's what's really cool though about going broad. If your LinkedIn ad said, hey dad, do you have a daughter that rides? What's interesting is LinkedIn and Facebook do not have that data for the most part. But if you go high net worth, if you go into cliche, right? That human, if it's a good piece of creative, is going to pass that on to his nephew whose daughter rides, or his boss, you know? That's what's amazing about social. Nobody rips out a fucking newspaper ad and brings it, think of, right, or watches a commercial, takes out their phone, records it, but people do pass on social creative that's good. Be like, hey, do you know about this company?
Yeah.
See where I'm going?
Yeah.
So that's the reason to go broad. Social media is special. I just don't understand how people don't see it. And let me phrase, it's hard. It's hard. It's new. It's the reverse of the old world. It's literally the reverse. It's all bottom up instead of top down. So it just doesn't come natural to people because most people are not consumer centric. It came natural to me because I grew up in a retail store, selling, knocking door to door. It was only the customer. There was no academia. There was no thesis. There was no consulting. And I was always on the hook. Even people that are street kids that go into companies immediately aren't on the hook. So that's how I got there. It's taken a while for me to realize why, but that's the game. Got anything?
Yeah. Apart from the style and business question, which we'll talk about later.
By the way, on that, back to, because you set it up, the answer is yes. You just run a marathon. When you have to be profitable, what you're going to learn, that's why I think we've got the model down and you'll do it internally with us, somebody else, is you'll get math that works for you. You just won't be able to scale it in a way that somebody who's losing money every day could scale it. But as somebody who competed against wine.com that had $168 million in funding and I had nothing and I won, it's because 2000 happened. When the world melts, all these DTC brands are finished. Finished. They're completely built on the next round until they sell it to one of you. And I think you guys, and but like macro CPG big brands are finished because channel conflict. Because it's deja vu. The best bet I ever made was when the internet collapsed. I was only 24 years old. All the stock market collapsed, April 2000, dead, right? I bought Amazon. Because it was the first time I understood that Wall Street, because I didn't know, was different than real life. Amazon was going to win, but Wall Street did different shit. Because it's just and that's when I figured it out. That's what's going to happen. Shit's going to hit the fan tomorrow. Everyone's going to melt. Procter and J&J and Pepsi are all going to high five and be like, "See, fuck those fuckers." But in the ashes are going to be the actual companies that put them out of business. Which is why you should do that. Meaning, just build something that's profitable. That's it.
We'll set it up and
That's it.
see what happens.
The two biggest things you have to do is make sure creative and math and insights are working together, not separate, and you make a fuckload of creative. The biggest issue for them at $4, $6, and $12 is how many creative variables the agency's making. That's it. The target's right. 23-year-old dudes and fucking shortage is not hard.
So you do volume of creative, right? I mean, that's the bit, right? And we've been hearing about it all most of the day. Would you also apply the same principle to businesses?
Yes.
Volume of businesses?
I thought you were going with R&D of products.
No,
Go
no,
with businesses.
Yeah, new brands. Think new brands.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Especially if you do R&D that way. Don't guess. I would literally create a channel on social media called Make Pretend Products and just post every day and see what people give a fuck about and then go make that orange juice with coconut oil. Why guess? You had to guess because there was no way, the internet didn't exist. So yes, I would. But I would do it the way I just said. I wouldn't guess. unless strategy, right? You guys are a big company. If Unilever or J&J or Procter has something that you're pissed off about, and there's like good reason to like fuck with them, like Hims, you know, like things like that, just to fuck, because you're fighting a war. So you're like, you know what? Let's go fuck around in that battle. That could be a place where you could lose and still win, right? Like if I was running a big conglomerate, I would look at the place where my biggest competitor is winning. I would make a product that I was going to lose money on with the sole reason of making that brand seem not cool to the end user.
And if you were running a big company, would you buy any of these D2C companies?
If I felt the talent in that company
So just for the people.
would be able to not just drive that business, but drive the DNA of the full organization. If I was like, these guys are so dynamic, and when I bought them, I'd be like, look, I'm gonna pay you twice. You're getting 40, 50 million offers, I'm gonna give you 100, but I'm not giving you dick until the end. I'm gonna give you 5 now and 95 in year 4, contractual. Like, we can't fire you, you'll get it all. And in the 4 years, you have to change the DNA of the organization. I don't even give a fuck if your little thing grows. I need to fucking fix this.
Okay, I'll try and make it quick. But basically, this year for our outside company,
Yes.
we are working on empowering our staff to become.
By the way, it's super smart. If you can figure out how to not let anybody be the judge of the creative, you will win.
That's kind of the issue that we're having. And I know that it's not unique.
Who is it?
To,
Who's the judge in your world? The CEO, a founder, 2 bosses, somebody? Like, who is it?
Well, the founders are very much
That's your problem.
involved in terms of
That's your problem.
they're watching
That's-
Instagram,
that's-
their
that's your
feedback
problem.
And say,
That's-
actually, our gifts really are brand, and it's like, well, it's
Them.
also subjective.
Them.
They don't like it.
Them.
So
Them.
how do we,
You pound them.
in the nicest possible way?
Yes.
Yeah.
You educate them that their subjective call is the vulnerability. It's back to humility. It's back to the wonderful question he asked, like, why doesn't that frustrate you? Because I have more humility than I have ego. I mean, I'm putting out content about me. Forget about empathy or fucking a hotel or a sneaker or a shaving cream or a vitamin, and I'm wrong all the time. It's me. I read all my qual, and I'm wrong enough. That's what proved to me, like, if that's happening with me, who nobody's deeper in the quant, that like, I'm in, and it's me, and I'm producing it, and I know, and I'm wrong, game over.
So it's kind of coming back to proof. But, this is actually working, so let's continue running.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's exactly right. And then just, you know what? I think what I do well is I get to the punchline quick, right? If you go to the punchline quick, and I keep pointing because I'm just so excited because I'm curious, it's going to be awesome to see what you do or don't do, but it is the punchline. If you sit down the 2 founders and be like, and this depends on if you're willing to get fired, have a good enough relationship, but if somebody just says, hey, Joe and Johnny, here's the punchline. Your subjective fucking call on if that's cool or not cool, good or bad, means nothing.
Because it sounds to the consumer.
The end. That doesn't mean you can't have, like, you know, when people hear me say that, they go, well, Gary, what about the guy who said if I listened to my customers, I would have made faster horses? Then I would say, good. Then you would put out the car would have worked, and everybody would agree. Back to businesses and products. So if they're so right, let them post 4 times a day. You don't, by the way, you want to really work it? Don't post on the Instagram account, run them as ads and see what actually works. You can run 1,000 pieces of Instagram content a day. Run them as ads. They don't show up on the main page. It's why everybody loves stories. Everybody puts the main feed on such a pedestal, like it's your fucking art in your home, but stories is just like whatever. So people produce like crazy for stories, but are fucking crippled by the main feed. I just treat the main feed like stories, better than most.